If the Rams want to beat the Jets and win their 5th game in a row, they're going to have to do these 5 things. We got an injury update, key matchups, and more. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramily, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're also available over on YouTube. We just passed 15,000 subscribers, so if you haven't yet, do me a huge favor. Join the party. Join the fastest growing Rams YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. And if you really want to support the channel, hit the like button. My name is Doug McCain. Friends call me D-Mac. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. I've been covering LA sports for over a decade. 24/7 sports, Bleacher Report, SI, Dodgers Nation. I also do NFL radio for Westwood One. Today I am flying solo. The People's Champ, Mr. Travis Rodgers, is out today. We've got a jam-packed show. We've got our keys to avoiding a letdown loss to the New York Jets. We got an injury report. We've got what you need to know heading into this matchup, because the Rams can make life a lot easier by getting the dub in New York. But first, today's episode is brought to you by Hillsdale College. Go right now to hillsdale.edu/lockedon to enroll. There's no cost, and it's easy to get started. Okay, so let's dive right into this matchup. The Rams 10-5 all-time against the Jets. The Jets did beat the Rams in their most recent matchup in 2020. That was a bad Jets team. The Rams ended up losing that one 23-20. They were 2 touchdown favorites in that one. But still, the Rams 10-5 all time. The Rams are 11-3 in early kickoffs on the East Coast since the start of the 2017 season. So under Sean McVay, they have been good in the early window on the East Coast. They got a win over the Patriots earlier this season. But the Rams are just 3-6 versus the AFC East under Sean McVay, and McVay has not beat the Jets in his career, so we can check that box off his list with the win on Sunday. Now, diving into the injury report, from a health standpoint, the Rams are one of the healthiest teams in the NFL. Find every piece of wood in your house to knock on right now, but still, right now, the Rams are in good shape, where a lot of teams at this stage of the season, they're dealing with knick-knack injuries. They're losing out on guys. Well, it was really the reverse for the Rams. They were out a lot of guys early, then they got guys back during the season, and right now, after that 10-day layoff after their Thursday night win over San Francisco, they're in a really good spot. Now, Tyler Higbee was held out of practice on Thursday because he did have a little bit of a stomach bug, but he's past that, and he's officially off the injury report, ready to go, and they fully anticipate that he's going to make his season debut on Sunday against the Jets. Another injury to monitor was cornerback Kobe Durant. Now, Kobe Durant missed Week 15, dealing with a lung injury, a chest injury. He was limited to start this week, but he was a full participant on Thursday and Friday, and he's expected to go on Sunday. Now, on the other side, Quinnen Williams, he's supposed to be a game-time decision. So that's a big storyline heading into this one, because Quinnen Williams is a monster on the defensive side of the football from a pressure standpoint, from a game wrecker standpoint. This is someone who is just a great player on a bad team in a bad organization. So if he does play, he can make things difficult for the Rams offensive line, for Matthew Stafford, for this Rams offense that definitely wants to get going early and definitely, hopefully, make this a comfortable win in New York. He did injure his hamstring last week against the Jaguars. He's listed as questionable, so it's going to be a game-time decision, but that's something to look at early on. Now, as far as diving into this one, first we're going to start with is Matthew Stafford versus Aaron Rodgers. I think that you look at this league, this matchup for the last 10, 20 years. These are two of the best quarterbacks in the NFL over the last couple of decades. And Matthew Stafford does have a losing record against Aaron Rodgers. He's 4-13 all time versus Aaron Rodgers. And a lot of that record has to do with the fact that Matthew Stafford was the guy that really is what Aaron Rodgers is now, a good player on a bad team. When Stafford was with the Lions and Aaron Rodgers with the Packers, for the most part, A-Rod really owned that matchup with the 8 NFC North rivals, and they do have a lot of familiarity with each other. They have faced off a good amount of time, 17 games in total, and during those matchups, Stafford has 27 tutties, 17 picks, Aaron Rodgers, 35 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. So, yeah, he's been really, really good in his matchup going head-to-head with Matthew Stafford. But these are two very, very different teams. Now, looking at some of the keys in this one and what to look for heading into Sunday. And one of the big keys to victory is take advantage of this Jets defense that hasn't looked anything like it did under Robert Saleh. The Jets were a bad team, but defensively they were respectable. And since Saleh was fired, the Jets have the second worst defense in the NFL. If you look at EPA per play, if you look at some of the advanced metrics, the Jets defense, they're 31st in the NFL, 31st since week 6. And their first week without Saleh, it was pretty evident that they just did not have the foundation that you wanted to see if you're a Jets fan, and it has been a rough go for this New York Jets team that really is just in limbo. I mean, you got their owner that's using Madden rankings to evaluate players, so that says a lot. And in 2023, this is a really respectable deed, and that defense has not looked the same under interim coach Jeff Ulbrich. So this is not the defense that the Rams expected to be facing earlier in the season, and the Rams can take full advantage of that. And that's a big key, is knowing that offensively, if you play the game plan like it should, you should be able to score points and get yards. The Jets have allowed at least 25 points in their last 5 games. And that's a lot. You look at the Cardinals. The Cardinals scored 31. The Colts scored 28. The Dolphins scored 32. Mac Jones' Jaguars scored 25. So the Rams should be able to score points. They should be able to get at least 25 to 30. You want to control the game as well. But this could be a really good opportunity for this Rams offense to get Cooper Kupp back into the fold and feel better about where his season is going and really have a really nice, productive game offensively. It's a really good opportunity to get Tyler Higbee back into things and knock that rust off and see if you have another weapon in him that can be a safety valve that can make this offense more dynamic. And Puka Nacua, great opportunity for him in a matchup that we're going to talk about with one of Jets cornerback that certainly has the potential to stop anyone in Sauce Gardner. So I like this Rams offense going up against this Jets defense. You can't be afraid to go out there and push the ball down the field. The last thing you want to see in this one is the Rams' early window against the Jets, a team that really has nothing to play for, and get down early. Because we saw last week the Jets, even though they have nothing to play for, you have Devontae Adams back with Aaron Rodgers, and they're trying to create some momentum and just go out there and play free and easy and competitive football. You definitely want to spoil anything they built last week. And we know this is the National Football League and teams are going to compete. So that's something that you want to take advantage early, is put up points and lean on your defense to make some plays as well. So coming up, we're doing more big keys. We are looking at the key matchups that are going to ultimately determine this game. And Rams fans are getting a little confident about the Jets. I'm here to tell you, this is not a trap game. There are no trap games for this Rams team, but I'll tell you how this Rams team can make a life a lot easier by being the Jets on Sunday. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. Now, you know what's something I love to play every single day? That's Prize Picks. It's fun, it's easy, and I love it. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Make your holidays bigger and brighter with Prize Picks, the best place to get real money action while watching your favorite sports. Like I said, I love this. I play this every single day pretty much. And this weekend, all you have to do is pick more or less 90.5 receiving yards for Puka Nacua, more or less 56.5 receiving yards for Cooper Kupp, more or less 8.5 receiving yards for Kyren Williams. So lots of fun action over at Prize Picks, and Prize Picks now offers MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your accounts this season. Join now because holiday season is the time to play Prize Picks. Prize Picks is giving away 2 free picks in December, and they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Picks Mix. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's download the app today. Get that app and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. It's that time of the year. The college football playoff is back, and with the newly expanded 12-team format, it's guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever, bringing you all the hard-hitting and high-flying excitement that you love. TNT Sports' coverage of the college football playoff begins December 21st, starting with the College Football Playoff Kickoff Show presented by AT&T at 11 a.m. Eastern. Leading you into our first matchup, the Southern Methodist University Mustangs battling the Penn State Nittany Lions at noon. Then the Clemson Tigers look to upset the Texas Longhorns in a showdown at 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss a moment of the action. Watch the College Football Playoff presented by Allstate live on TNT, True TV, TBS, and Max. And we are off and running here on Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday and sometimes on the weekends. Free and available wherever you hear podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Also want to send a shout out to those everyday listeners out there watching and listening to every single episode of Locked On Rams. Cannot thank you enough. If you guys want to get me a gift this holiday season, join the Everyday Listeners Club. That way you won't miss a thing. Anytime we drop, we're going to start doing episodes on Sunday, too, after the games, and then you won't miss a thing about your Los Angeles Rams. But here in our second segment, we're going to pick up on the keys to victory. Second biggest key for a victory on Sunday is avoid the home run plays. Look, if you watch baseball, one thing that makes a pitcher really good is not giving them home runs, keeping the ball in the yard, and the Rams have to do the same against the Jets on Sunday. The Rams have allowed the second most touchdowns outside the red zone with 14 this year. The Rams have given up big plays. They have a tendency to do that, and when you have playmakers like Devontae Adams, who's coming off a monster game, a talented young receiver out of Ohio State in Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Aaron Rodgers, they're going to look for explosives, and the Jets, they've only allowed 1 touchdown outside of the red zone this season. So you've got a team in the Rams that gives up explosives and a team in the Jets that has been able to limit those this season. So you definitely want to avoid those, especially early on in this football game, because if you give up a big momentum play like that, you're going to feel some carryover from the Jets win over the Jaguars. So that's definitely going to be a point of emphasis for this Rams defense. And next big key is if you can't get it on the ground, go to the quick game, because the New York Jets have given up the second fewest rushing yards in the NFL this season. They've allowed 1,256 yards on 300 carries. That's certainly a very impressive number. And the Rams, they love to run the football now. Kyren Williams, Blake Corum, they invested heavily in this offensive line. They want to move the chains. They want to control the clock. They want to be dynamic and run gap scheme and duo and be physical. But if they're unable to establish the run and it's hard to get those yards, one thing the Rams need to consider doing early on is going to the quick game, going to a more death by paper cuts style of offense where you're getting the ball out quick on the flats and trying to give these Rams playmakers, these Rams running backs, the ability to find some space and yardage from that attack plan. Because if you look at the Jets defense, yes, they've been able to stop the run, but a weakness they do have is passes under 10 yards. Passes under 10 yards this season, the Jets are 29th in expected points allowed per dropback. So that tells you that you can get the ball out quick. You can have success under 10 yards. And anything that's 2.5 seconds or less, they're 29th in the NFL in EPA per dropback. So you look at those numbers right there, they will tell you that, hey, if you can't get on the ground, you can get it out quick and have success with the offense that way. So that's a major key. One thing we don't like to see is the Rams and Sean McVay stubbornly continuing to try something that is not working. And this is a perfect example of, hey, you can adjust on the fly and you don't have to play into the Jets' strengths. You can play into their weakness by going to a different plan of attack. Okay, so let's get into some of these key matchups. First matchup I'm looking at is fully dependent on if this player is healthy, and that's D-tackle Quinnen Williams. He has 50 pressures on the season. You have to account for him on every single play. You got to give him a lot of attention because he's a game wrecker. And as a one-on-one, this could be a difficult matchup for Steve Avila because of how talented Williams is. And like I said, we'll see if he plays. But he's fourth in the NFL in pressures this season. And he was big against the Rams back in 2020. So they are very familiar with him, and they need to do what they can to try to stop him and make sure that he doesn't make life difficult for Matthew Stafford. Now, from the edge, they're going to be bringing Will McDonald IV, and he's been really good this year. Has 52 pressures, 10 sacks. So guys like Rob Havenstein, Alaric Jackson, they're going to have their work cut out for them because we know their one weakness really between the two is speed rushers. And guys coming off the edge, that's something that they're going to have to deal with. So if you have McDonald and Quinnen Williams, they're going to have their hands full potentially for stretches. So those are the guys that you got to single out and make sure that you limit their impact as much as possible. And another thing to consider too is when the Rams are going with an empty backfield, that's when the Jets do their most work. They have the second most sacks in the NFL against empty backfields this season. So in the trenches and on the edges, those are the guys you want to look out for. And then, of course, there's Sauce Gardner. Now, Sauce Gardner is not having the same elite season that he had last year, but he's still one of the best cornerbacks in the National Football League. And he's not going to be matched up with Puka Nacua every single player, anything like that. They like to keep Gardner on one side and then have DJ Reed on the other side. But you're going to see Puka Nacua matched up with Sauce Gardner a lot of times throughout. And that's going to be a matchup that Puka Nacua is going to be challenged by. And the Jets have 4 interceptions all season long. That is the third fewest by any team in the National Football League. And Matthew Stafford has gone 5 games without giving up an interception. So hopefully Matthew Stafford continues this run and you're playing clean football. But that's a matchup certainly to look out for with Sauce Gardner and Puka Nacua. Sauce Gardner, he's allowing a 54.3% completion rate. So that's still extremely strong. You're going to see a lot of cover one looks from the Jets. So you're going to get man coverage for Puka. So it's all about him winning those matchups. And I like the size and strength. It's just about kind of the quickness. So that's what I'm really excited to see. I think Puka Nacua has proven to everyone out there that last year he wasn't some rookie fluke. He's been the Rams' best receiver by a mile this year. So another great, exciting matchup for him to take advantage of and show people out there that he's that guy. And then, of course, you want to stop Davante Adams. Davante is coming off a big game, his best game of the season, 198 yards receiving against the Jaguars. Had some incredible catches in that one. And we know that he's fantastic in the slot. So you're going to need a really nice game from Quentin Lake. And Quentin Lake, he's had high flashes this season. He's been inconsistent at other times. He gave up 7 catches for 105 yards against the Bills. So last time you faced a really dynamic, pass-heavy offense, he did give up his fair share of catches. And you're going to see the Jets move around Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams. You're going to see some bunch formations. You're going to see them really put them in spots where they can be freed up. And you're going to see them all around, the outside and in the slot. So Quentin Lake, he's going to have his hands full. It's going to be a nice challenge for him. Now, another matchup, Kobe Turner versus left guard John Simpson. Now, Kobe Turner, he's been an absolute rock for the Rams this season. He really is surging right now. But Simpson, he's very talented. He's an extremely quality offensive line. He's given up just 13 pressures in 549 opportunities. So you're going to need to use some stunts. You're going to need to free up Kobe Turner to allow him to play his best football in positions to have success. But that's another big matchup to look for. And then this is one I really have my eyes on, and that is left tackle Olu Fashanu. I pushed for him last draft season. Offensive lineman out of Penn State going up against Jared Verse. Now, Jared Verse, yes, he has been going through a little bit of a slump, struggling to finish plays at times. He's had no sacks and no TFLs in the Rams' last 5 games. But I think this could be a get-right game for Jared Verse. I think he's due for some more production. And Fashanu's been fantastic for them, really. I mean, he's been excellent for this Jets team that was searching for some more stability on that offensive line. He's allowed just 5 pressures in his last 3 games. He's given up just 10 on the season as a left tackle. So, I mean, he's definitely put himself in a position to be included in the big wins during the last draft class. So I'm looking at you, Jared Verse. I want to see something. I want you to really get yourself in a great position where you kind of shake off this little slump that you're in. Even though, I mean, in totality, he's still one of the best rookies in the NFL. And I want to see him have a big game so he can get back into the lead for the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. So those are the matchups you need to be looking for. And you win those and you get the best of those, you're going to win on Sunday. I'm very, very confident in that. But coming up next, we got a prediction. Will the Rams win on Sunday? I've been hot lately. I picked all these wins in a row. Bills fans were still in the comments calling me crazy that I picked the Rams to beat the Bills a couple weeks ago. They did. Pick the Rams to beat the 49ers. They did. Well, I picked the Rams to beat the Jets. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. All right, let's talk about our sponsor, Hillsdale College. Time is our most precious commodity, so don't waste it scrolling through the same mind-numbing content for hours and hours. How can you spend it wisely to improve yourself? History, economics, the great works of literature, the meaning of the U.S. Constitution. Did you study these things in school? Probably not, or even if you did, maybe it's time for a refresher. Time and technology have changed a lot of things, but they have not changed basic fundamental truths about the world and your place in it. So our sponsor, Hillsdale College, is offering more than 40 free, that's right, free online courses, including Constitution 101, the meaning and history of the Constitution, Introduction to Free Market Economics, The Great American Story, A Land of Hope, The Rise and Fall of the Roman Empire, and a brand new documentary-style course on Marxism, socialism, and communism. So lots of cool stuff you can learn over there, and you can go right to hillsdale.edu/locked-on to enroll. There's no cost, and it's easy to get started. That's hillsdale.edu/locked-on to register. hillsdale.edu/locked-on. It's great. All of Hillsdale courses are self-paced so that you can start whenever and tune in wherever. Plus, you can go deeper with readings, quizzes, discussions, or just enjoy the lecture. So one more time, that's hillsdale.edu/locked-on. And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Okay, so Will the Rams beat the Jets on Sunday? Is it going to be Jets, Jets, or is it going to be Rams, Rams? I think the Rams get the win on the road on Sunday. I think the final score will be 28-20. The Rams with the nice layoff, a 10-day break between their Thursday night win against the 49ers to this one. You have a Jets team that has talent, but I think one thing you need to do, set the tone early. You need to go out there and put up points. A couple weeks ago, the Seahawks, they got into a hole early. They were down 21-7. They clawed their way back to get the win. The Rams don't want to put themselves in that position. The other thing, too, with the Rams is let the Jets be the Jets. He's here to the LOL Mets. Let them be the LOL Jets. Because this is a Jets team that they've blown so many games this season. Don't put yourself in a position where they have to blow a game. But if you are down, know that this is a Jets team that struggled to finish all season long. Against the Colts, they were up 8 in the fourth quarter. They allowed a game-winning drive in that one later. The Jets, they were up 21-7 against the Seahawks, and then you had the interception by Leonard Williams, and it was to return 92 yards, and then the Seahawks ended up winning that one. They could have beaten the Dolphins, and then they end up losing in overtime. So if it comes down to it, let the Jets beat themselves. But if you're the Rams, go out there and treat this game as a game where it's not, oh, if we lose, we'll still be fine because we can control our own destiny because we're going to be facing the Cardinals and the Seahawks coming up. No, the Cardinals and the Seahawks, they're two teams that really want to win this division bad, and the Cardinals, they feel like, okay, we're going to come into that game against the Rams and we're going to beat them in their house because we beat them early in the season. No, you beat the Jets, you keep the pedal to the metal. It's all gas, no brakes, and you, I think, want to prove to yourself that you have an offense that's going to be a little more consistent scoring points and having an improved passing game because you did just score 12 points against the 49ers. So give me the Rams over the Jets, and the Rams win their 5th straight game, and they'll go to 9-6. Ramley, this season, it's been a roller coaster. 1-4, you win 7 of your next 9. You got to keep the winning vibes going. And with them being healthy and the Jets possibly being without Quinnen Williams, I like the Rams in this one. So that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. And until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.